the Democratic Party. It's like 4 or 5 years ago, she had adopted 10-point black program. This was revised in 1972, but it talks about everything you can imagine. You can have a chance to look at it. Now, these are just the wants. If you Google the wants and deletes, you'll see all these paragraphs that quote the Constitution after every point. But we figured we would do it this way, it'd be easier for people to remember the basic concept of the 10-point platform. And it covers everything from determining our own destiny for black and all oppressed communities. It's a black community. We wanted an end of the robbery by the capitalists of all black communities and oppressed communities, taking away everything that we have, making it affordable housing and also for business starting. Even though you'll see that has not stopped our people from opening up businesses. Now, I don't question a lot of people. Like, where do you get that money? I know you didn't get an SBA loan. So you're making whatever you're doing, they're opening up restaurants. People becoming chefs. They're opening up clothing businesses right here in the city. So a lot of times when you hear these vacancy reports, but if you look at videos and stuff that are online, you see everybody exposing a new restaurant, a new chef, a new concept, a new service that's opening up. That's the resiliency of the area in which we live. So if we continue on, we want decent housing fit for the shelter of human beings. I'm going to mention this right now. You go to 7th and Campbell, you'll see a building, 76-unit apartment, state of the art. If its going rate would be, I think, 2 bedrooms would be about $3,200, $3,500. But it's according to income. And it's built by my good sister and former chairwoman of the Black Panther Party, Elaine Brown. And when she went into it, just like we always do, I know the concept of the thinking process, but I might not know the ends. She brought together all these builders, some who had these other aspects of, I'm only in it for myself. Some didn't stay the course, but the project was finished, along with the state. Newsom and all of them were just so happy, him growing up in the Bay Area, that this process was created. So no one in that building will pay more than $300 a month for the next 15 years. And when BART rides by, you don't even hear it. They got a term for these, what they call, they have this big, beautiful foray, the solar panels, they're opening up these businesses, they're opening up this medical concept where the parents get the counselors. So there were 3,000 inquiries. I didn't even get in. I'm just kidding. Hey, I mean, save one for me, sister. But so it was decided that the families that occupied it are women with children. So you have 76 families, and when you walk into the apartment, 2-bedroom style, fully furnished, dining room table, all the beautiful kitchen accessories. You go in the bedrooms, the beds, everything in it. Let's put it this way. It's going like in the old days. Hey, we have Model A, Model B, Model C. Remember, and you walk into the fully furnished house that they're trying to get you to buy that model, and it'll always, that's what was done for them. An amazing process, and it was done when it said it couldn't be done. When the city said affordable housing is a joke. It's a joke. You could supplement that, like downtown. We'll talk about that once we get there. The plan that we gave the city, when the other guy who didn't make mayor was running, the idea he was supposed to run with it, that everyone here could live there according to your income. And that there was enough money in the state of Hump to supplement those concepts. It wasn't a welfare concept, it was a concept of keeping families in the area. Imagine that. Businesses growing and thriving, because you have thousands of people living in those high-rise buildings, which are losing their value. There's a whole story, but I'm going to stop, keep on going. Okay, we want decent, we want education for people that expose to true nature of the secondary society. Of course, you know the story of the Oakland Community School, the Oakland Community Learning Center, still the only school that ever won a citation of education excellence from the state of California. Both Republicans and standing on the beat applauding these children from the Baptist school at East Oakland, and also the governor at that time from having a year. But the thing about it is that we set that concept, each one reach one, right? Each one teach one. The world in this classroom, we teach you how to think and not what to think. That is the main note. that they want to bury at this point in time. So we want completely free health care for all black and oppressed people. Sickle cell anemia testing, we began that. First test documented here in Oakland. You may talk to some people in the community. If you ever talk to them and say, I got sickle cell tested by black people. First case documented in 1971 here in Oakland. Created the Sickle Cell Anemia Foundation. People go out, collect donations, have the white coats on, informing people, shopping centers all over there, still get harassed. We still get messed with by law enforcement by doing the right thing. So the testing led to free health clinics. There's a video out called How the Black Panther Party Revolutionized Healthcare. Two of them. And how we actually brought health clinics to the community. In Seattle, Washington, Carroll Dow Center, 3-story building with a dental clinic in Portland. They'll start out the Black Panther Party. They're still in operation. So all across the nation, we have close to 20 full-fledged, you can see them on the back, health clinics. I'm free to go that very quickly. And you can do your own research on that. Women's prenatal clinics, the geriatric clinics, family clinics, and the many of doctors went on to Doctors Without Borders. So that feeling of truly serving the community, we were able, how did we do that? How did we make that happen? What was the thinking process to bring everybody together? Why did we do it? Our favorite phrase was, we got to do something about that. There's an issue, we got to do something about that. Breakfast program. I never will forget it. One of them got here, Sacramento. Young lady, snatching up biscuits, some eggs. So, 3 months old. She was trying to feed the baby. Hold on, so I had no food at home. We said, we got to do something about that. You know, and everything. So we created WIC program, Women and Infant Children. So everything that we did initially was centered around the family, the children eating breakfast, the women, the foundation of the family. And then bringing their sons and daughters into the total equation, but then we got into education. Because once these kids were able to pay attention, they get said, what happened? Well, teacher sent me to the principal office. Why? Well, because I told what they said about the black community wasn't true. And I told them what I was learning. That's why Hoover said the breakfast program was an eternal threat. We weren't teaching children anything other than their truth when they ask a question. Well, let me tell you about W.E.B. Du Bois. Right? Let me tell you about Frederick Douglass. Let me tell you about Harriet Tubman. Let me tell you about these people. They were learning. And they would know, let me tell you about so-and-so. The teacher would skip over. So all these things led one thing into another. We wanted immediately into police brutality and murder of black people, other people of color, all oppressed people inside the United States. What we're seeing, I want you to think on the federal level, the kind of treatment, the kind of thing they do the same thing. Everywhere they go back. Imagine an era with no cameras. On your no cameras where people could actually see who you were. Not all the behavior that you created. What we see with federal government and complicity with some law enforcement agency is getting to that same level that we experienced of no recourse. Who you want to talk to? Ghostbusters? There's no attorney general. There's no one that you can talk to other than you're in California. And a lot of people, that's why our population is growing. People coming back because of what they're faced everywhere else. So we want an immediate end to all wars of aggression. Wow. Of course, the Vietnam War was present then. We understood why it was taking place, and we're about to, like the old rap group, I'm about to start some stuff, Chris Cross. I'm about to act a fool up in here and start bombing other people. So where are we going? Threatening Iran with B-52 bombers, America entering the war. So, as legal people, I'm gonna keep on going, think about this. If I can create insurrection, a mass insurrection, he was so disappointed it didn't happen. People were smart doing the No King's March, middle of the day, ended in a couple hours, everybody went home. If I can enact that Insurrection Act, then I can declare martial law. Nixon wanted to do this until Watergate. We found on his White House tape, he had planned on doing the same thing, rounding all of us up and creating martial law. And when you have martial law, all presidential and elections are what? Suspended. So as long as I can declare martial law, I can be president forever. That is the major plan that is in place. But once, this is another thing, how we know about that, so now we're not planning that kind of thing. We want that to happen. So it's a learning factor for most Americans for the first time outside of black and brown communities, indigenous communities, and then when the folks facing all of America is now facing the same thing. All you gotta do is open your mouth and say, I do not agree with that. You are going down like the rest of them. So this is the question and concept that we want to think about, that no more bickering. Like we tell the kids, you got the biggest bullies in the world. No more bullying. They're getting it. You don't have time to bully each other and talk. You're together trying to destroy. So let's keep on going. We want freedom for all black and oppressed people now held in U.S. federal, state, county, cities, and military prisons and jails. We want trials by jury, secure groups, and of course that doesn't happen. Here in Alameda County, they falsely tested over 1,000 prisoners from what they had opium in their system. And they found out, no, they didn't. Well, who falsified this stuff? DNA tests constantly. Railroading of young black and immigrant and brown people and activist people, no matter where you come from, railroading you through the system with no rights. So we have a duty right now for our young people and people in the community. Do you realize that when we understand how that works, they whisk you off. It's not, you're not going to be in you're not going to be in Alameda court. I'm not. No, you're not going to have a public defender. I'm not. No, they're going to say you are a terrorist under the Domestic Terrorist Act. They're going to take you to a federal institution somewhere, maybe in Louisiana, where they took some of those students from Columbia. Guantanamo Bay, you have no right to a lawyer. They can hold you indefinitely. They don't have to tell your family where you are. So it's a whole nother level of incarceration without the rights. That's why I talked about know your rights being accosted by the federal government. You know, so just throwing that out there. Anybody wants to cooperate with us in creating a little project pamphlet, maybe get the ACLU involved and tell them, hey, we need you guys to sanction all this, and just get it out to the community and people so that they know. So it's just not our immigrant brothers and sisters. It applies to each and every one of us, because all of us American citizens, they are arresting American citizens, you know, as we see. So let's go, keep on going. We want land, bread, housing, education, clothing, justice, and peace. And people's control of modern technology. Have you guys have computers? Yeah, man, they had, you know, once you see the movies, the big reels, these big collating machines, and the Fortran language, and a little old computer screen, and everything came across was green, you know, but we saw it being used, as we see now, technology as a weapon. It's being used for suppressing other countries and using for military might. Experiencing all the suppression, infiltration, technology used for listening, technology used to spying on people and all this in the document. We understood that if we did not control it, it will be used against us. So now there is a move because of the industry. How many tech people have been laid off that you know? You know anybody personally as tech people have been laid off? We can all raise our hand on that, right? It's just like being in the black community. How many people have got arrested? Everybody, how many people have messed with us fully? How many people have to go to court? Everybody gonna raise their hand, right? We know somebody, so where are they going? We have a network, there's a whole lot I can talk about, we'll stop in a minute. A network of folks in Brazil that we work with, have their own server network. We're able to do things with them, even though they interpret it in Portuguese to all of Brazil. We just did a second one with them. And that is the idea of hooking up people, letting them know what is really happening in America. I talk to people, you know what they say? We had a storm. I said, you had already had January 6th, or June 15th, whatever, right? They said, we had a storm in the Capitol. And I said, the rest of the world is wondering, what is happening with the American people? Why aren't they speaking out even more so? Why aren't they together? Because in most countries, they say they would have been out, 250,000 every day, right? A million people. But we feel as America having experienced that, we're going to get to that point. Every day is something crazy, right? You think, oh my God, what are we going to see now? But don't let it happen when you do. Look at it as a learning concept. So I'm back very quickly, and then we're going to flip around for a few minutes and we're going to head out. It's going to be as much of a time as possibly can. On the back, 65 documented survival programs. And you'll see a number of them were based upon legal knowledge for the community. There's about a ton of them with health issues, but all these 65 programs were painstaking. We just didn't put this out there. We were telling people. Stanford University Archives did a whole investigation, Stanford, to make sure that all these were legitimate, and they found out. There are actually another 30 programs that were listed. As our tech friends say, you guys had 65 startups. Imagine the community controlling $1 billion industry of health clinics that were networked, that were truly there for our people in the community. Imagine having our own learning institutions that would not be fostered, would not be sequestered, would not be muzzled, would not be bound and gagged in telling the truth of the story of America, not demonizing anyone, but telling how there were great people from all our communities that looked like everybody in this group who stood up for what was righteous. There would have been Underground Railroad about the abolitionists. We know what happened to a lot of them. That's why John Brown got so mad. They were arrested, accosted, they stood together, they were murdered the same way. So that story needs to be told. So when you have a chance to go over this, you see Berkeley Students Health Program. That's why the first one was on Grove Street, which was the original Merritt College, where the senior center is located now. I think it's right there on 57th. Across the street of Martin Luther King is where there is a city amendment to name the Bobby Seale Way. That's where his mother and his family live, right? But the idea here with these concepts, the first health program was at Grove Street College. Then we initiated one at UC Berkeley. That's why on most college campuses you have a nurse's office, and the bigger one's a full-fledged clinic. Because we as students, of course, push that issue on that respect. So I want you to have an opportunity to go over this.